Coming up on the Greg and Tim Show podcast.
Who is Shaun Zimmer? And I, at that time, was completely against church, completely against the Bible. I received a lot of messages from God when I was getting angry at people. Well, and I want to say it was a gift. Like, actually, that's what I feel called to share with the message. It's a really beautiful journey and so many glorious moments where God is showing up in my life and with people around me. It was just, wow, like hard to deny the existence of God. From one extreme, I'm an extremist, I guess you could say, in many ways, for a lack of better terms.
Well, it's a good conversation. We should start by doing the the intro.
What intro?
Well, the thing that
Did you write an intro?
Get your earballs ready. Welcome to the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Take time to sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Here are your hosts, Greg and Tim.
Welcome back to the Greg and Tim Show. Today we have a special guest with us, somebody who we've been wanting to speak to for a little while, somebody who actually was recommended to us by a friend of ours, Jasmine Lane.
Yeah, Lane, as I call her.
Back in the day,
as I call
one of her interviews, she said, you should really talk to this guy. He's got some really cool insights. And I've followed him since 2020, and now we've finally got him in studio, and we're going to chat with him about himself, why he does what he does, and his journey from the last 5 years. So everybody, welcome to the show, Shaun Zimmer. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So
We're excited.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
I wanted to get the first question here.
Okay.
You always get
because-
the first question.
Yeah, I know, but I'll get the first two questions, maybe,
Oh,
and then you
okay.
get number three.
Perfect.
Is it true that if all of your head was shaven, all your hairs on your head, you'd lose all your strength?
No. No,
No,
not for
that's-
me.
that's just a rumor?
No, yeah.
Okay.
I've never heard that one.
No, I heard that's that could have been. I could have heard wrong, but you have a lovely head and
A
chin,
mane? Are you
chin
saying
of
that-
hair. It's
Oh.
distracting. It
It is
really
was
is.
because I stopped maintaining it.
Right.
I used to shape it, as the picture you had up there before, right? I always had it perfectly shaped because I was overly identifying with my physical image.
Right.
And now it's just wild, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's probably distracting, yeah.
You let it go,
Yeah.
essentially. So
Oh yeah, that's a whole story there. Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
we get our guests, and we have so many options, and then we cut them down by facial hair,
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
and that
makes
goes
sense.
for the females too. So.
Right.
So, in terms of like, you've let the beard just become part of you.
Mm.
You're not shaping it anymore.
Mm.
Is there anything behind that? Is there anything behind like the
Oh,
longer
yeah.
hair?
Oh yeah.
You used to have like the
Yeah.
shaved sides, the
Yeah.
short top.
Yeah, shave sides, yeah,
squared
slick
off
it back.
beard.
Yeah, every day slick it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to, dye my beard so it was dark up here to have more prominent lines. And yeah, there's a lot behind that actually. Something
Okay.
I don't think I've actually shared publicly, and I've had it on my list to share publicly whenever I start creating content again, which I have been a little bit lately.
Yeah.
We were talking about that before the show. I haven't really wanted to be on social media sharing anything, but
Yeah.
I do feel called to. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. One day I realized my hair was thinning out, and it floored me. It just knocked me on my butt.
Yeah.
Huge insecurity issues with it. Never thought that would happen. Never even thought I was in the realm of potentially, going bald one day. And long story short, it highlighted just how much of my worth I had attached to my physical body. And, for anybody listening, like if you looked, I used to be, 220 pounds, just jacked, right?
Mhm.
Like always cared so much about how I looked physically. And so I realized just how far off the mark that was and how superficial that was, knowing that I'm so much more than that
Yeah.
as a child of God. And so I often go from one extreme. I'm an extremist, I guess you could say, in many ways, for a lack of better terms. And so
Some
went
people
from
have
one
labeled you
extreme-
that.
Yeah, some have definitely labeled me that. Yes. So I went from one extreme to the other. I decided to stop working out, stop eating all the high protein diet, stop cutting my hair, stop dyeing my beard, stop trimming everything, and just let it all go and just let that part of me die.
Right.
Okay.
Because I realized how much I was reaching out to the world for validation. Fell into that trap of just being, okay, this is what, makes me worthy as a man to be this big jack dude that looks really, masculine and attractive. And of
Yep.
course, it goes down pathways of lust and all the other things that are perversions from that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just let it go.
I have this vision of like Thor.
Mm.
Remember in the new movies where he does the
He's
same
just
thing.
gigantic.
and he gets fat?
He starts to get fat, and then he
Yeah,
eats
yeah.
the ice cream. He's eating everything in the house. I had this vision.
I know you think I'm down there wallowing in my own self-pity.
And for all our guests out there,
We have a side-by-side photo that you shared when you were 225 and
Right.
175.
Yeah. Right.
You okay if we share that
Oh,
right now?
I'm open to everything. You can
Okay.
share whatever you want, ask
So-
me whatever you want. Yeah, I'm an open book, guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And-
that's up right now.
and
And
just for
this
our-
shows you the
yeah.
aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very different from one to
Oh,
the
yeah.
other.
Yeah.
and we should stop for a second and share with our viewers who maybe are bald, like
Okay.
some people we know,
Yeah.
that bald for those people is beautiful.
Well, and I want to say it was a gift. Like, actually, that's what I feel called to share with the message on how going bald was a beautiful gift from God.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to, over spiritualize and say it's specifically a gift from God, but just the whole process of it,
Yeah.
on how it helped me dissolve that attachment that I had to my physical identity to such a high degree that I did, and putting my worth in there, and really helped me step up the journey of finding my identity in Christ.
Yeah.
Which has brought me so much joy, peace, and just love in every moment of the day that I am, consciously with my eyes on him and that identity in him.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a gift, for anybody listening. I know they're probably shaking their head, and I disagree.
so
You're going to ask the second question too?
Yeah, I said first two questions.
Okay.
So before we get into all of that, which we definitely want to get into, we ask our guests one question to kind of to tee up the whole thing. Can you say maybe in a couple sentences, without saying what you do for a living, and that could be whatever, but who is Shaun Zimmer?
Who is Shaun Zimmer? A man with a big heart, a son of God, a follower of Jesus Christ, a servant to humanity.
That's great.
Yeah. I could elaborate, father, and all these different things that I, wear as my part of me. Yeah.
Is it something you think about when you
Of
think
who
about your
of who I am?
identity?
No. I guess I have gone through a journey. I guess no longer I think about that, but I did for a while. Yeah. Absolutely. And it was many dark, empty roads that I went down trying to find my identity and who I am in this world. And it wasn't until I found my identity in Christ that all changed, and I stopped caring about finding it because I found it. Yeah. I'm loved. I'm worthy. I'm a son of God, and I'm just always cared for, and I'm accepted by my Father in heaven. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I'm going to share one thing after this, but we like to ask this question as a follow-up question. What is one thing that our viewers and listeners wouldn't know about Shaun Zimmer?
Well, I've been such an open book, so that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I've always been very transparent, or at least try to. I guess probably off the context you're thinking, but this summer I fell back into addiction, smoking and drinking, cigars, marijuana, drinking alcohol. Not many people know that at all. So that'd be something a lot of people don't know. And we could unpack that later if you want. It was
For sure.
a blessing in disguise. Yeah.
Okay.
And more context, I used to teach how to free yourself from addictions for years. So it was quite a shock for some people to hear that. Yeah.
When and the thing that I want to transition to actually works really well with that is that I've been following you since 2020, as we discussed before, and I came to you after the men's conference because I wanted to talk to you about something that when I saw you in the front row, I really needed to talk to you about. And it was about the fact that since following you in 2020 and everything that was going on in your backyard and with all the COVID and all that stuff that was going on at that moment, and then in 2022 when church opened back up, I saw that video that you posted from the back left corner of church.
Right.
And you posted this video. It was a vertical video, and I saw you panoramic, like just pan around as the praise and worship was going on. And you said, "This is what freedom." I think if I remember correctly, this is what freedom looks like when you posted that. And I believe it was the first time you'd been in our church at that time. Me and Tim both go to Springs Church. And at that moment, I was like, I wonder what his journey is right now. like where he's coming from,
Right.
where he's going to, and why he's here. Because us as being insiders, people who lived in that church prior and who lived through the COVID times, through drive-in and everything, we know what that was like. But for you as somebody who came from outside at that moment, what drew you to the church?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everything I did during COVID, turning my home into a community center, opening up to people, offering free fitness classes, and then that
Mm-hmm.
grew into kids classes and dance nights, karaoke nights, chili nights,
Yeah.
counseling class, like so much we did,
Hockey
right?
rink
Hockey,
and
yeah, lots of stuff. That all came from a call from God, to put my business aside and open up my home and do that. Exactly. It started the
And
first
you're
call.
sorry, just to pause for a sec. What was your business that you paused?
At that time, I would say 95% of it was online coaching with addictions and relationship, mental health, I would say, and
Okay.
maybe 5% in person,
Yep.
mostly all online at that
Yep.
point. Yeah, so open up my home, and I did that. And at the time, I had what would be called New Age beliefs, which I think is really a bad, incorrect label to put on, because a lot of these beliefs that are touted as New Age are ancient, right? But
Mhm.
we'll use that for ease of
Yeah.
communication. New Age beliefs. Didn't realize it was Jesus who was guiding me. He's very patient with me. And just to get right to your question, I saw the news release of Leon in the newspaper when he was getting charged, I think just for the drive-in,
Yeah.
when he didn't want to step down from that. And that excited me to see another individual publicly taking a stand.
Yeah.
And so that's what drew me to church. And I, at that time, was completely against church, completely against the Bible, thought it was all just corruption.
Yeah.
But there was something that I needed to go and see and
Mhm.
see what it was all about. And I did. I was at that point. I was really starting to experience the love of God, so it was already starting to sanctify me and burn out that judgment and the pride and certain level of me thinking I was smarter than everybody else and knew the way, and that it was all manipulation and wrong.
Yeah.
So I was already starting to walk down the journey of
The
being more
path.
open. Yeah, the path. Let's say
Yeah.
the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
What like I'm not a little bit not like Greg in this way, but I didn't really know your journey up to this a week ago.
hmm
So I had to do a bit of a deep dive, and we both go to the same church, but maybe I'm not as plugged into the social media aspect of it or your story. So from what I understand, you had kind of a Damascus Road
hmm
redemption story.
Yeah.
What was your bright light? What was that catapult that you went from being one way and you pivoted and you had a completely other direction? Why? Like what made you do that?
The messages I was receiving, Holy Spirit convicting me and speaking to me, correcting me, when I would do certain things, really putting it on my heart, conviction, that's not the way, and to start churning more to, mercy, grace, forgiveness, love, and yeah, leading me to Christ slowly, little bit by little bit. Um, I, it's tough to really pinpoint because it was quite the progression. But I received a lot of messages from God when I was getting angry at people. Yeah, it was really beautiful and a lot of disciplinary love as well.
Mhm.
Not any condemnation, but real stern voice sometimes of, hey, turn away from that and come to me. I'm telling you, there's a better way.
Yeah.
And the path you're going down is just tearing you apart and tearing those around you apart, where you could be lifting people up to such a higher level of love and unity on what you truly desire that you already know I feel in your heart. So yeah, really pulled on the heartstrings. I was already playing on, I guess, dancing on, however you want to label that.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not too confusing for people listening,
No.
because it's kind of hard to describe, really.
Yeah.
Without chatting about it for a couple hours.
Yeah.
But I made there's a couple big mistakes I made. I put one individual in the hospital who came around my home, who was hating on the stand I was taking publicly. To give the viewers just a quick update who aren't familiar, I took a very public stand. It was a call to
Yep.
take a very public stand. It wasn't to be quiet. And I, grew up as someone who is in and out of the legal system, a lot of trouble with the law and whatnot, I had a real issue with authority. So when the police started coming to my house and people started hating on what I was doing, I just brought out that demon, we can actually
Yeah.
honestly say, that was inside. Yeah. That hid under a guise of light in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had publicly talked about that on your socials as well, and you were providing updates on what you could do and those types of things as well. What leads you to share? You We were talking before the show off camera here about like how you're not doing as much on social.
Mm.
What was leading you to share, and what's leading you to right now? Kind of what's pulling you back and forth?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, before, there was definitely, conviction from the Holy Spirit to share, but then as well, a big look for validation and finding my identity.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big part of it. And then, something that would have been rooted with pure intentions to help and to bring community together and unite, quickly got off track in perversions of validation from others, the dopamine hit from all the likes and the engagement and the people looking up to you and whatnot.
Yep.
So that definitely, even though I tried to fight it, it still did take root. And through the process that I've gone through, coexisting with this journey with the hair, it's been on many fronts, of this retraction from that world, let's say on online space,
Yep.
where I've taken, many months completely off, like got rid of my Wi-Fi quite some time ago, got rid of my smartphone for a while, went back to a flip phone, got rid of the flip phone for a while, and just went no phone for a while, no internet, no, nothing.
Yep.
And I,
For Lent, 40 days, 40 nights.
you could say so, yeah. And I have been getting the message on two fronts and two things. Actually, this is something nobody knows really. I do have two fears that I'm sitting with right now that God is patiently working me through right now. There's a sanctification process. We could say some PTSD, if you want to use that term,
Mhm.
on two fronts. The call that I've received is, hey, I want you to become that warrior again, to get in the, top physical fitness that you possibly can, but a warrior for Christ this time, and not for validation from others, not for your lustful desires that you used to be attached to, not to have men look at you and be like, oh, wow, this is a guy not to mess with, but to be a warrior for Christ and whatever that means. I
Yep.
don't know. Maybe it's, there's a fire and I got to lift your kids out of here and run 10 miles. You never know. Like
Yep.
just be in the best
Be in
physical shape possible.
Yep.
And then as well, sharing the message and getting out there and doing everything I can to advance the kingdom. And the fear comes in of getting lost in it again, on both fronts, getting lost in my image, and just the pride, taking on, like, the spirit of pride is still something I battle with. It's, it's losing the battle, but there is still in the fight. So I do have fears of that. And, with the physical side and then the social media side. So, I quite enjoyed my time off social media, but I know the Lord's given me a following for a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason for it, and
For sure.
I've almost deleted it many times.
Right.
But I've
Still there. It still
that
hangs
message.
around.
That message has been like, don't delete it. Don't. There's a reason for it, right? And
Yep.
I'm on this whole journey with leaving my home and doing the school bus conversion and whatnot. And I know for sure, probably just sharing, because the call is to go minister with that, witness with.
So
my journey.
I just want to touch on the school bus
please,
thing
yeah,
for
yeah,
a quick second.
yeah,
Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you.
Yeah, no, that's all
But
good, brother.
you kind of said get out of the rat race before, or alluded to it, and you've kind of went completely, as much as possible, off the whole system, if you want to call it, quote unquote, system, as much as possible. I think I saw on social media you took a bus from California all the way to Winnipeg. You fixed it up. You're in an RV, I think, of some kind, living out somewhere in the boonies. And I've seen some pictures.
Yes.
The Northern Lights were awesome, by the way. You're talking about deleting social media, all these things like that. Like, it's almost like you're trying to get completely out of those systems, let's say. And I think you alluded one time, I listened to a podcast you did where you said if the courts give you tickets, you're kind of just leaving it because that's part of the, quote unquote, the system. How is it going removing, and I think that's something the audience might find interesting, because there are
Right.
days where people say, I'm tired of this. I wouldn't mind doing that too. But for the person that says that's impossible, we have to do X, Y, Z, how is that journey of removing yourself from a system while still living in that system and helping people in that system? How is that going?
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's going really beautifully.
I
Now,
thought you
when
were
I
gonna leave it right there. Just
when when I say beautifully, when
Next
people
question.
ask me how you're doing, 99% of the time I'll tell you I'm doing amazing. I'm absolutely getting my ass kicked, but I am finding the joy in it.
Kick. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So to answer your question, the progression of that, when I got called to open up the home into the community center and do everything I was doing, put business aside and do everything for free and trust to be provided for, I was 2 months behind on my mortgage at that time. I was not in a logical position to do that. I have a daughter who's now 13, just going on 13. So at that time, what would have been 8 years old, something like that. But I felt the Lord's call clearly, and I did it. And there was long story short, this 3 to 5 year process, purifying process with God, bringing me to the place of faith that we can do, and not just for me, we can do what we're called to do inside, and we will be taken care of. We don't have to fear about what we're going to eat, where we're going to be sheltered or clothed. It'll be taken care of. And so I've gotten to the place now where I have full faith in that. It was up and there's a long story. We could write a book on that. It was a really beautiful journey and so many glorious moments where God has shown up in my life and with people around me. It was just, wow, like hard to deny the existence of God to anybody really listening on what has happened and witnessing. Because before when I got these calls, I did it privately. I didn't tell people, oh, hey, I got this call to put business aside. I'm not only broke, but I'm already about to lose the house. But I'm trusting God and everything. People would have been like, your daughter, you can't do this, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But I didn't say that at the time. And then what happened when I put God first, that call, it ended up being the most, like by far at that time in my life, the most nourishing and fulfilling time for me, my daughter, and everybody around me. And so that built that faith and that trust in that relationship with the Lord, with Jesus Christ. Again, at the time, I didn't know it was Jesus Christ. And so through that progression, I then got a call to literally just like Abraham. The call came, leave your home and community, sell it, and travel into land I'll show you. I had no idea where I was going, but it became clear. I said, okay, if you're really calling me to do this, have this show up. I put
the fleece out.
Yeah. And it happened like that day.
Right.
I was like, okay. So a week later, I listed my house up for sale after doing some renovations. A week later, it sold. I got an offer, accepted it. And I think 5 weeks later, I was out of the house. Now, the night of the offer, I got the call that I'd be going to pick up this school bus and camping out while I turned it into an off-grid home and then travel around and share my journey, witness with people to help them turn from fear to faith. And so much more now that I've been out in the wilderness being taught through God's word of really that full call. Sorry, long-winded answer to you, but yeah, please cut in anytime.
So why a school bus and not an airplane?
Yeah, why a school
Or
bus
a
and
zoo?
not an airplane?
Why'd you buy a zoo?
Yeah, why not a zoo? That's a good call. It wasn't my.
I've seen some really cool airplane retrofits,
right,
that are Airbnbs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've seen
the
the school.
wing
I've
has
seen the school bus too.
has the patio on the wing,
Right.
and
I imagine to travel around because it is going to be built for prep for minus 40 and plus 40.
you need a pilot's license.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the call.
Yeah.
Get a pilot's license.
Get a pilot's license.
You can fly the plane everywhere you go.
And by the way, you're definitely not the most. Don't apologize for being long-winded. You're not the most long-winded guest that we've had.
Okay, good. Because I don't even think I've answered your question yet.
So no, you're doing a great job. I'm just going to pause you for a second because I think you've given us a great answer so far. But for those people, I'm going to assume not everybody that listens to this episode is "quote unquote" a born-again Christian.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask a couple of questions to kind of push back to
absolutely.
assume that we're not in the same camp.
Yeah.
But when you say, I got a call from God, people out there, some people will know what you're talking about, but there's a segment of the population that be like, what is he talking about? Is he insane? Is he calling him with a cell phone? Do you ever hear an audible voice? Like, is he having an hallucination that he thinks something's talking to him? What the heck does that even mean? And what does it sound like?
Yeah, well, I think the easiest way I could describe it is, if you were to, for most, I don't know, let's pull a stat out of my butt. That's probably somewhat correct. Like 99% of people would think about, killing the person next to them, and they would have this feeling inside that would say, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Don't do that. And possibly would even go further of like, hey, actually, maybe even talk to this person or help this person. And that is what I would say is that call on its base foundation of direction inside this. Some people call it your conscience, your sixth sense. People have all different types of names for it. And that's most often that call that I reference. There's something inside of me, and it's usually aligned as well with my desires. My pure desires that aren't perverted. And when say that, some people would be like, oh, what do you mean perverted? A lot of people are lost in perversion, of course. If we really sit and meditate, think on certain things, you can tell if it's perverted or not. There is this guidance system built inside of us that knows right or wrong. I think there's some people are maybe a little off track with that. Maybe it doesn't work in everybody, but I think for most people it does. So yeah, for that, that's what I would say in the call. It's just, it's, hey, I'm supposed to do this. It just feels like it. And I'm sure anybody listening can think somewhere in their life where they feel that, like, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this, or I've always wanted to do this.
Yeah.
These things are planted in our hearts for a reason.
It's the small things too. I don't know if I've ever told Tim this story, but sometimes like I'll misplace things and then I'll look for them for like a day or 2 days. And then like I'll literally just sit and say, help me find this. And it happens. And then all of a sudden, like 5-10 minutes later, it'll just pop into my head. And I don't know where it comes from. And like everybody says, like, you don't hear the audible voice. I don't. But all of a sudden I'm told in my brain, hey, this is where it is. And then I'll find it. And Lorraine's like, how'd you know? I'm like, no clue.
And that, yeah, there's two things on that. You mentioned hallucinations. So I've been completely transparent. My earlier days of my journeys, I used to use psychedelics, and I did encounter, God met me where I was at with those journeys. And I just did a video on that. I'd be happy to elaborate on why I moved away from those experiences. And I did hear an actual audible voice one time. And it was the first time I became conscious of God, and it was on a psychedelic experience.
It wasn't your voice though, right?
It wasn't my voice.
Because I think you could probably do voiceover.
No, yes. But now through, this recent journey for me, I've been being taught a lot about evil and demonic attacks, and how a voice that I often thought was mine is not mine. And you just highlighted it as well with God's voice of, yeah, it's over here, go do this. And often we think like, that's me speaking. Well, is it? Or is there a force somewhere else that's guiding you that it's not audibly speaking, but implanting thoughts? How it's hard to verbalize with our language, right?
You can actually say the God speaks to you and the devil speaks to you, like the whole cartoon of the devil
exactly
and the angel
on
your
point
shoulder.
on point.
You can say like, I did these things, my brain pushed me to them, but you can also say that you're listening to the wrong voice when you're doing those too.
And it's in cultures of all sorts, right? There's the old Cherokee proverb of the two wolves, if you've ever heard of it, right? Which wolf you feed, right?
Whichever wolf you feed.
Whichever wolf you feed, and there's definitely truth in that. And it took me 38 years as I'm that age now to realize, oh wow, a lot of the things I was following and identifying with was the devil speaking to me. And anybody listening that's not in that camp, it's like, well, the Hebrew word Satan is adversary, something against us, right? And the devil being Greek of that translation. So, and I'm being taught, like a lot of people who think they're this, think they're that. It's because that voice inside, they think that's them.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to ask a second pushback question.
Please.
That's okay with you.
Absolutely, push back, bro.
You talked about extremes, and you alluded to the fact where in the past you've had some addiction issues, which a lot of people can identify with, and now you are extremely doing other things for Christ, for other people, getting off social media, again, not running the rat race, and it seems like extremes might be a good word to use for you. A lot of people would call that an addictive personality. Do you think an addictive personality exists in some people, and do you think you have that?
Yeah, that might be getting caught up in semantics, I think, maybe. I'm not too sure. Something for me to really think on and meditate on. At first thought, yes, I would say so. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did an episode way back at the beginning. I think it was our 3rd episode about addictive personalities, about how males generally have addictive personalities
or are prone to.
or
Right.
prone to
More so
addictive
than
personalities.
females.
And
Right.
it's not always a bad addiction.
Yeah.
Like I have a hat addiction.
Right.
I have like 200 hats.
That's-
That's an addiction.
Yeah.
That's a problem
Yeah.
for my wife because she doesn't like me having that many hats.
Yeah.
But
You're not going to live in a school bus with 200 hats.
I can't,
No.
exactly. I got them stored nicely.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. They
Yeah.
do stack. Yeah, they stack. Yeah. If you don't need them all on show. Yeah.
That's
and
right.
I think I made the statement about Greg too. I'll just cut you off though. But where Greg, he either does something to its extreme,
Yeah.
Mhm.
or he doesn't do it at all.
Right.
There's
Right.
no middle ground.
Likewise. I'm
Yeah,
very similar on many fronts. Yes.
So I'm slightly different in that I will do many things, and I'll be okay. Maybe not happy, but that's good enough.
Right.
That's good enough,
Yeah.
and I'm still doing them,
Mhm.
right? And at least
Mhm.
I'm,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
still-
go on a 2-hour run, but I'm gonna go for
Like
a
something.
half an hour run
Right.
or whatever it
Yeah.
is, right? If
Right.
you get, we'll talk about health in a second, but
Mhm.
Which also is a topic that we've talked about before is, can people who only do things good enough be successful? What are your thoughts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But highly successful?
it
How do
goes.
you define success?
I'll give you some backstory. So we did an episode on balance, and one of the topics that what I suggested was nobody who did anything great was quote unquote balanced, because to do something
Mm.
amazingly, you have to spend so much time that something else along the way
Hmm.
is going to lose some of that balance.
Mhm.
So something's always out. If you're an amazing hockey player, you're the best of the best. You
Right.
spend hours and hours and hours every day practicing that one sport. Your family life, something else is going to, maybe not suffer is the wrong word, but it's going to fall by the ways that you're not going to be able to spend that much time.
Mhm.
There's someone that cures cancer, if that happens, or whatever it is going to spend an exorbitant amount of time in that their life will not be balanced.
Mm.
To do something historically great, you're out of balance. And we always talk about balance. Balance is important. To do everything just good enough that, we do everything sort of well. So the question kind of goes back to, do you think that true balance can exist and still be great in what you do?
Hmm. A word like that. When you asked me about success, I was thinking, and I think I have a different definition of success
Sure,
than a lot
shoot.
of people. For me,
Yeah.
success
Yeah.
would be being in the peace, calmness, and love and relationship with God
Yeah.
and saved in Christ. That's
Mhm.
success. And you can get that if you're doing things half-ass or not.
Yeah.
Right. It's really just surrendering to Him
Yeah.
and following that call. With how you referenced it. No, of course, if you're really wanting to, be top dog in a certain area, yeah, you have to go all in.
Right. And
Yeah.
and even to good things, there's out of balance. Like we talk about Paul. Paul would say you shouldn't even be married
Hmm.
because it's distracting to the call of what, and that was his opinion. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean that he's
right,
correct,
yeah.
but his assertion was to be great in serving the
Mhm.
Lord. Being married is a deterrent.
Mhm,
Right?
mhm. I've
But it-
experienced it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And God's call to me with my relationships in the past of where and that was before really finding my identity in Christ. So it was, hey, I want you to surrender to the potential that you're going to be. My call for you is to be single for the rest of your life. Not that it is, but
Mhm.
I want you to let go of that to really find your identity in me and your devotion in me and get on this path with me and stop putting these before me. Because that was something that would happen to me in my last 2 relationships when I had a beautiful connection with God and devotion, and then relationship came in. That started taking precedence and
Right.
started making plans that weren't necessarily aligned with God's will and call for our lives.
So speaking of relationships, can you talk about your daughter?
Yeah,
for a little bit?
absolutely. Yeah.
Are you okay with talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's another one that nobody really knows about other than a few people close to me. A lot has changed with that. My daughter and I, we used to be very, very close, and this most recent journey, I guess actually in my usual way of being extremely transparent, I should be cautious just in terms of respecting her
Yep.
her life and her privacy. But we have we still see each other, but we have parted ways a little bit. I find as I've been really healing from my exit from the world. And when I say that, of course, there's many aspects as you've highlighted, but the big one would be the pride of the world and the real care of what other people think. Not that I don't care, because I do want to help people and I do want to come close to people, because I know fellowship's really important, and having a likeness impact on people or connection is important in that. But as I've been exiting that, she's been entering it. And, there's a verse somewhere about, judge not or you be judged, right? And
Yeah.
I'm being circled around to all the things I've judged, and being humbled in so many ways. And one, like, I'm camping out right now in a camper, right? As I went to California to get the school bus, brought it back, which that's a whole story of how God parted the Red Sea on that one, because people thought it was impossible with my record, with what was going on with the
To go to the
tariffs.
States and everything.
Yeah, with what was going on with the tariffs and at the border at that time. And I have multiple criminal charges that would not allow me to go. But I was like, God's calling me to do this. And no, I'm not. And I actually, I had to start telling people. And when I actually told people, because this time I was being transparent about my journey instead of before private. So I was like, hey, God called me to do this, sell the house, doing this. And people were like, hey, what about your daughter? What about this? And it became easier just to quote what Jesus said to Peter. It was like, get away from me, Satan, with your human-minded ways, for you get in the way of the will of my Father. Because I knew that, like, God was calling me to something. And even though it was coming out of like a projection of love, quote unquote, of caring for me, it was rooted in the worldly way of thinking on how things work, which, yeah, sure, we see with our eyes, but how many people do we see really devoted to the path walking with God?
Yeah.
And I think if everybody did walk that path, the world would look a lot different, and the way we see things manifest would be a lot different. We'd witness a lot different. So anyway, I should say, though, when I went over the border to get to California, the officer there, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I got a call from God to sell my house, go get this bus.
Honesty is great.
He stops the lineup, gets excited, starts showing me YouTube videos
About bus trends.
about camping stuff and whatnot. And then he's like, okay, go ahead. And I was like, you don't want to see my passport? He's like, go right ahead. Doesn't even want to.
For those of you that
I felt
work at the
God.
border.
I felt God just having a laugh. So I told you. Yeah. And then on the way back with the bus, 30 seconds at the border, didn't even look at the bus. Okay, have at her. Anyway.
Yeah.
So back to my daughter. She doesn't agree with this journey. She doesn't get it. I put God first. She doesn't understand that. I didn't have God in the household when I was, raising her until the recent years, right? And even at that, it was loose, because I was still trying to understand it. So it's very confusing to her. She doesn't understand by me putting God first is what will be best for everybody. A lot of people don't understand that. So, and she's been entering the world in ways where she cares about certain things that, in my opinion,
Teenagers will do that.
Yeah.
Which is more than norm, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It
So,
is, right?
so we went from, I went from having her 50% of the time to actually all summer, I saw her for about a cumulative time of maybe 4 hours.
Okay.
And that was actually just me. Thankfully, I have a good relationship with her mom and her stepfather. And that's a whole process that I've been going through, of mourning the loss of my little girl, and as well learning of really, God's been really kind of putting me in his seat of vision with his children in a certain way with this. And and I had to surrender to, well, what does God do? And he honors our free will, but continues to pursue us with unconditional love. And it's been teaching me of what love really is. And so that 4 hours I spoke of was really just me showing up at mom's continuously, like, hey, do you want to do something? Maybe tomorrow or this. And she didn't hate me, but it was like, I'm busy with friends. She's all about friends now and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it was very, very tough. That was one thing I allowed the devil to take my ear on and push me over the edge to get back into addiction. Not blame that on my daughter at all, but just my mourning process and my attachments as a father. Again, it was pulling some of my identity away that I was so attached to find my worth in. And I don't know, maybe 3-4 months ago now, I said, maybe 3-4 months ago, I said, hey, like, let's at least do a date night, if you want to call it that still. A day where we get together once a week at least. And so we've been doing that, which has been great. It's been really beautiful to have that. But she still, there's just some resentment there. There's a lot, that I hope to one day to be able to jump on a podcast like this and really share the revelations that I receive, hopefully from continue to pursue and continue to show up. And then one day she opens up to a little bit more and we break past that bridge. So anybody who is a believer who's listening, bring God in it, please, with me and pray for me on
Absolutely.
that one.
Praying for that. For sure.
Can I ask you a question about personal relationships again on the man-to-man basis? You say you were at some point you were in the world more so, maybe more closed off as far as sharing yourself, and then when you came into this idea of sharing the gospel with other men, I think you referenced. I watched something in the podcast about you get together weekly with other men to kind of have that closeness, and I think sometimes men, and this is I'm speaking specifically for myself, are very into themselves, don't feel comfortable, right time to say something, the right thing to say, and not knowing how to do it. When you talk to people, and I assume they open up to you because you're being transparent, how do you find that journey for you personally? Do you find that over time, when you get to share inadvertently through other people sharing with you, that some of these things in the past heal inside of yourself by you having other people share with you? Do you find it's been a healing process for doing that, in other words?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think so. Yeah, it's definitely a healing process. And, there's some foundation structure of confession in there, right? And reciprocated relationship between two men. Absolutely. Before COVID came, I was completely isolated. I kept to myself. I was what you call a lone wolf, and it was trust issues with men. I didn't trust people. I didn't want to be around them. I didn't like people. I didn't like myself at all. I didn't know that. And then when COVID came, the call I got really pushed me into. I started having thousands of people through my home every week.
Right.
So that really forced me to
You
start.
had to like people.
Yeah, well, I kept busy.
Certain people.
I kept busy. I remember one time there was this kind of consistent group that would, hang out later and be around, and kind of grew into friendship. And one person in that group invited me to a potluck she was doing at her house with the same group of people that I was used to having over at my house all the time. And I went there, and it was terrible because I didn't have anything to do. I wasn't cleaning or
it wasn't your place.
It wasn't my place. I had to actually sit there and talk to people. And that was an eye-opening experience that really, I was like, okay, that's one thing the Lord has helped me with greatly, and I'm very appreciative. Anytime something triggers me or is uncomfortable, I look into it. I'm like, okay, why? And lean into it, and let's purge something out of here that's getting in the way for me. Really embracing what is being presented to me, so I can live this life to the fullest and be the fullest that I can be. Yeah.
So you didn't like yourself before, you said, which is interesting,
Yeah.
and you learned that along the way,
Yeah.
which I find also interesting. Do you find that you like yourself more now? I know that's an odd question.
It is an odd question. Yeah. Well, let me unpack. So we
Do
went.
you like who you are more
I do.
now?
I do. So we started those. Actually, a gentleman that came to the community wanted to start the men's group, and I said, hey, I got too much going on, but if you want to, I'd be happy to facilitate. So we started the weekly men's group, which wasn't faith-based. Yeah, sure, it was kind of like we started with the Lord's Prayer, but that was it. It was open to everybody, and that was good for me because I was more, at this time, kind of Christ consciousness beliefs, right? Christ is the way, but one of many. And it was beautiful. It was what was needed, I think, for so many men to, hey, this is a place of being not only vulnerable and to be able to receive, advice from men on what to do who've gone through similar situations, but as well learning how to be emotionally available and to share yourself and be authentic and express these things, which is needed in the household for men with kids and, well, men all over, wherever you are, whether you have kids and a wife or you're in a workplace, whatever it might be, right? You're just with your friends. And but that ended up, after a while, it just kind of became I lost interest a bit in it because it kind of just became a whining fest after a little while. Like there wasn't any structure of like, hey, where are we really going with this now?
Just as a complaint.
Yeah,
Get this off my chest.
Yeah. Now I'm at a men's group at a church not far from me that I've been waiting for Springs to get a men's group going consistently, but I found one somewhere else where it's now okay. We do the same thing, and then let's attach it to a Bible study and what's Jesus guiding us to do, and that's
where
missing
you were
link.
last night.
Church of the Rock I go to on Thursday nights. Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. Church of the Rock. I've been really enjoying that the men's group there on Thursday nights. So I actually just opened up a journal that I think I did 2 years ago when I went through the 12-step program, and at that point I journaled and I reached a point where I really had forgave everybody. I didn't have anger or resentment towards anybody besides myself, and I went through this 150-point list all the things I was resentful towards myself. And there would have been probably 5,000, but I already worked on quite a bit. So yeah, I hated myself. There was so much, and it brought to light an understanding on why I kept, doing these self-sabotaging things to one degree, for one reason to it at least. And what was beautiful is I realized, oh, wow, I don't resent myself for any of these things anymore. The Lord has guided me through the path of healing. And I actually wrote a poem on this the other day. I didn't make it clear as what it was about, but I said a line of something like, all my prayers were answered, but if you would have shown me what I was going to go through to get there, I'm not sure I would have went on this quest to get to where to answer. Because I prayed, okay, let's resolve all these things. Let's let go of this resentment. Let's heal past it. And then I was guided through a journey the last year and a half. So long-winded answer to your question again, but yes, I definitely am. I am happy with who I am. Yeah, I feel good. I'm at peace with who I am. Yeah.
You talked about healing and how much it costs you. I think that sometimes people will want to get better or be better or quote unquote heal through certain things, but they don't realize what you said is true. It costs X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
It's painful. And I think that's I think in my opinion, that's why some men maybe don't know how to go down that road or don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
What is your opinion of why do guys seem to have a reluctance to be open, especially even with their wives or with other guys? Why do you think that is? And do you agree that's true?
I would think for the majority, yeah, it seems pretty evident. Yes. I can only speak.
Like a lot of guys wouldn't do this.
Right. No.
Right?
No. They would prefer to learn everything they can about different sports teams and the players and their wives,
which
we
do.
And their issues.
Yeah, we do that as well.
Yeah. I'm not hating on that, but it is one place I see a lot of focus on.
I can feel a judgment.
Yeah. No, not judgment. But,
it's okay. It's a safe place.
Yeah, no,
we're in a safe space here.
It's not judgment, but it is. Wasted time, I find. It's certain, but it brings fellowship too. Like there is fellowship about that. For
sure.
Like absolutely, there's fellowship that comes with that.
Well, there's the old joke that you go play 18 holes and you spend 4 hours with a guy, and you go home to your wife, and the wife says, "How is Harry? I heard he's going through a divorce. How is he doing? What did he tell?" And he's like, "I don't know. I don't know how he's doing." You spent 4 hours with him. I don't know. We just talk about it.
Right.
How do you not talk about it?
We talk about other things.
We just talked about things that typically don't matter, right?
The thing with guys is we can hang out for 3 hours and really talk about nothing.
Right. Yeah.
And be happy.
Right. Yeah. I guess I never was like that. That's why I only really started enjoying conversing with people when we started talking about God. Yeah. Or before it would have been on conversational basis where I was helping somebody walk through something.
Yep.
Which was layers under them getting to God. We just both weren't aware of it.
Yeah.
I can only speak from my experience on that question right now, and it would be trust issues. Trust with being burnt in the past, whether from dad or a brother or an uncle or something, where you just don't trust, or a woman, first love or first crush, attachment. I think that's probably a big one, and things that have happened to people. Not to say that's the blanket answer for everybody, but from my experience and the experience of working with many people, that's usually, if not always, the case that I've experienced is the lost trust. And that's something that, was one of the big reasons I couldn't buy into this loving Father God, because I had huge trust issues of the masculine and of men, and that then carried over to the thought of God.
Yeah, for sure. When you speak about your faith and about the character that you are right now, like in terms of how you've developed, how do you protect yourself from the people that are A, judgmental, B, want to come back at you with, hey, why aren't you doing this anymore? Why aren't you doing that anymore? How do you protect your faith in your current character that you're on the journey with right now?
Do my best to be honest and go to the Word of God.
Okay.
Yeah. So be honest and know that I'm coming from a place of honesty, knowing who I am. I think it would come with what we've already talked about, like dissolving, burning off all those layers of who I wasn't. and the facade, which I'm learning we're rooted in truth. The Viking character before and this character and that character is rooted in truth,
Yeah.
but then it gets perverted into something else to seek validation from the world instead of actually serving with these gifts that were given to us. So yeah, it's peeling those layers off and then just being authentically you. So knowing where you're coming from and using the feedback. I use the feedback from people to really, shine the light. Okay, is there truth to what this person's
For
saying?
sure.
Right? Let's reflect. Yeah.
We talked about use the word authentically you, which is so great because we used that term when we talked to Jasmine a couple of weeks ago, and I just got the idea that she was being her authentic self. That's she was in her lane doing what she was supposed to be doing, and she wasn't doing that before.
Right.
Do you feel the same way? You're right in your lane.
Yeah.
Authentically, you're in where you need to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I feel I'm where I need to be. There's places that I feel I'm falling short on for sure. The two being that I spoke on already with the social media and the fitness. But as well, I don't feel like I'm very far off the mark. If I am, like, it's all part of the process, getting me to really have what I need to hold true to it and persevere, remain under that pressure with all the challenges that come ahead for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So talking about fitness, let's talk a little bit about health. We don't want to say fitness because health is kind of a broad term that people throw around these days because it means so many things and it means so many different things to different people. To you, what does it mean to be healthy?
Healthy. My body function how it's supposed to function, not have pains and aches, and to be physically strong, to be able to get up and run 10 miles if I wanted and pick up some weight along the way and go for a swim, hike up a mountain, bike up a mountain, and not just be, of course, you're going to have physical pain that comes with that, but not the certain aches and pains that I have from being, what you could call a bodybuilder. I never competed or anything, but I got to a place where I could have stepped on stage at almost any point. And so what I'm highlighting there is working out for how you looked, which creates all these different imbalances. It wasn't healthy. Pulled my body this way and that way, where there's a lot of things that aren't working properly or functioning effectively and efficiently as they should. So you don't have these pains that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So health, digestive system working well, which is going to, work its way into how your mind works, your mental clarity and your mental health, your emotional health, the whole package. So
how do you feel about going, like, you're departed from the system to a certain extent, but to be healthy, how do you feel about going to chiropractors, going to a physical doctor, all those things, because they are in the system to stay healthy? Your back goes out. You need to check up on certain things. How do you feel about staying outside of the system but needing that system to stay healthy?
I feel
or medications even too, right?
Yeah, medications I've felt against for quite some time. I feel that I'm being guided to get to the place of faith where that kind of healing can be done through the authority of Jesus Christ. I'm not there. And I don't, not to say there's no place for the medical system or any of these things, but I do think there is what we would call like supernatural healing that is available to us through Christ. I haven't achieved it yet, but I'm getting to a place where, I feel called away from the places that you've highlighted. Yeah. I'm not saying that I know that for sure, but that's just what I feel.
No, and it's your opinion, and we like to have differing opinions. So don't be worried about giving us something that is not going to align with our thinking.
No, I want to stay like I don't know that. I just feel there's something going on where it's being guided to actually like.
I'm gonna change the subject a little bit here because I want to get a little bit lighter. Yeah.
Okay.
I like to get a little lighter every now and again. Tim wrote this question, but I'm gonna ask it because I think it's a good question. When we listen to your voice, we have this like bass, this deep voice. Any plans to jump on the praise and worship team at church?
Before you answer the question, there is a special.
He's going to interrupt my question.
No, I'm just saying. No, we're going to have a dramatic pause up there while he's thinking. It's going to give him a chance to think. Okay. But there is a void. When I am the best bass in our church, there's something fundamentally wrong with our church in this aspect because I'm not a true base. And listening to you speak, and I got this question because I listened to a podcast you did, and it was like, wow, that guy's got a timbre and it's low, and it's like that guy, if he could sing, I bet you he could hit some of those notes. And we are taking auditions.
I know.
So now that I've given you enough time to think. Any chance
I
that
had
you're
the
coming
answer.
to audition next Wednesday?
I had the answer right away. I've always
Now he's
actually,
rethinking.
I've always, no, I know the answer. I've always had this one of those wants that I highlighted before of, how do you know it's God speaking? One of these things, like I've always wanted to sing and make music. So I would love to, but that would only be the case if you guys had really good, whatever you call it, singing lessons. Because I suck.
Singing lessons.
I suck at singing. I need to learn. I would love to, though.
Okay.
I hope to someday. I've just actually broken through singing at church and then dancing, and then that started where I was like, okay, I need to keep my hands on the chair, and then I was like, just stop. And it was all these things caring what other people think, right?
Yeah.
So now if you ever see me at church,
give her.
I not only give her, but what I do, because before I was like, oh, I don't want to put my hand up, but I feel
worry
so
for the people around
I feel
you
so
sometimes.
yeah. I feel so. So what I do is I think about Moses when he had to keep his hands up. I literally, you watch me. I actually it's my shoulder workout
You're
at church. I
partying-
keep it up the whole time. My
You're
hands up
partying
the whole time.
marinas and you're partying the Denver.
Oh, wait, no names. No names.
I would love to, though. I hope one day that I learn to sing. I
Right.
would love to. But yeah, when I'm singing at church, if everybody stopped and you heard me, it was like, oh my goodness, that guy does not know how to sing.
Can't sing.
Have you met Aaron before from church?
No, I don't think so.
He's the sound. He does all the sound for the media team. He's one of the
Okay.
media leads.
Right.
He could probably make you sound good.
Right.
He has this voice adapter thing where it's supposed to.
That's how Tim does bass.
Back to being
it's called a
authentically
pitch
you.
adapter.
I think we should get the
Yeah.
the person who can teach me.
Yeah, apparently I learned that if you're
I'll pray on
singing
it.
a little bit off or a lot off, it doesn't help.
Right.
But-
right.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
We just turned his mic off.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
There's one point where you're like, "Welcome to."
We'll just cut that out.
I
No,
would love
Tim's a
to,
really good singer.
Yeah, I know.
His whole
yeah.
family can
Yeah.
sing, and if you need voice lessons, you should go to Tim's
Voice
house.
lessons. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if we can teach it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
we'll just say, why can't you sing it? Are you
Sing
stupid?
better.
Are you stupid or something? I just came for a singing lesson.
I was just
with a
at
big frowny face.
a new men's Bible study I started going to with some pastors that I hooked up with the Walk for Jesus, and did some worship. And there was this one song, I can't remember what it's called. The guy was playing guitar and he was singing, and it was a deep, I don't know, is it called baritone or just
Yeah,
deep?
baritone.
And I was like, whoa, like this is flowing nicely, like. But that was it. Like it had to be that range. I couldn't hit anything else for yeah.
What about voiceover work?
Yeah, I've been asked about that a lot. I think maybe start by trying to maybe one day do my podcast again. We'll start there.
Yeah, you were doing a podcast for a while there.
Yeah, for a little while. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I said, I don't want to. Yeah, I just don't want anything to do with that.
Is that why you? I've heard some poetry almost.
Yeah, so that's all I've been sharing. Yeah, I've been like camping out, spending a lot of time just. I'm camping out. I don't have Wi-Fi. My phone's not hooked up to anything. Right? It's like when I'm there, it's walking the dogs and reading the Bible and writing poetry is pretty well what I'm doing. And I figured, okay, well, at least I'll share the poetry I'm writing to God, and hopefully that might inspire some people and make an impact. That's about all. Yeah, because it's been really easy too. Because I'm just taking a video of my fireplace and reading my poetry, and that's it. No editing, barely nothing. It's simple. It takes no time. Yeah, it's not getting tons of engagement, but I'm like, yeah, it's out there.
I saw the fireplace and the two dogs. Who's looking after your dogs now? They just okay, just sitting there.
Normally they would be, but I actually have them over at a friend's house because I'm heading out to Ottawa with my daughter tomorrow. So yeah, I visit back home quite a few times.
Are you taking the bus?
No, the bus isn't moving right now.
Okay.
No, the bus is just about ready to have the roof cut off and lifted up 20 inches. So yeah, a lot
You
of
know
work
what you
to
do with a
that.
bus.
Yeah.
No, but like, what do you mean moved up? Like you're putting a second level on there?
No, I'm just raising the roof 20 inches.
Okay.
So, yeah, for like overhead cabinets and more bunk beds and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cut to Tim
Yeah.
raising the roof.
Well, I feel called to put 8 beds. Like God called when he gave me the call. He's like, you know what you're calling it, and he laughed at me. And he's like, it's called the Ark. The Ark on wheels. So I feel called to put 8 beds in it. Yeah. So I need the extra space too for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put
So the
some
long-term
bunks.
plan is 8 beds,
Yeah.
raising the roof.
Yeah. Raising the roof. Yeah.
Is that traveling around? You're going to get it?
Yeah. It'll be traveling around. It'll be made for -40 plus 40. And it's going to be a rolling piece of art with all like live tree, like the woodworking in there it'll be a talking piece where people will really be interested in seeing it. And then it can really open the door for me to share my journey.
Talking about rolling pieces of art, is there a call for you to bring a faith-based Burning Man to Canada?
A faith-based Burning Man.
Is there a space for a faith-based version of that?
Oh, that'd
where
be great.
So
Yeah.
like they always burn this giant.
Right. Yeah, they burn. Yeah, they burn
Yeah.
a giant structure. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would love to get involved. I don't think I'm the man to lead something like that. Who knows?
but you
Maybe
can
I
bring your
am, but
bus.
yeah, I would love to get. I went to a Christian concert this summer. That guy who was traveling around, the really
Yeah,
controversial
Sean
guy.
Deutsch.
And when I went, I've never been to anything like that, and I was just taken back. I was like, "This is so beautiful."
Yeah.
And I was a bit concerned, not because of his views. I just didn't want to hear about the political landscape. I
You
don't
just want
care.
to hear the music.
I don't even, and I know people think this is a mistake, but I didn't even know who was running for the new elections in
Right.
the States or can't. I've completely just stopped
Yeah,
caring.
yeah.
I'm like, what does the Bible tell me? That's where I want to be at.
Yeah.
And so when I went there, I was concerned that I had slight concerns. It was going to be a lot about political, but it was just about Jesus and music about Jesus and having people, turn to Jesus when he did
Yeah.
baptism. It was beautiful. And I was
Crazy how different
I-
it was compared to what people were
Yeah.
saying it was going to be.
I wish there was something like that every week.
Mhm.
That was, I left there filled. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I would love to be, if anybody wants to do something like that, I'd love to be a part of it, help where I can. Yeah.
There's a Christian festival that happens down just south of the border. I'll get it to you afterwards,
Please
but
do,
it's a really cool, it's a free festival that you can go
Okay.
to, that they bring a bunch of Christian artists for the weekend down
right.
to. It's just south of the border.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Can't remember the name of it offhand, but it's a very cool festival if you're
Right on.
ever looking for something
Yeah.
like that as well. But
Free is always something that in my journey, at least my personal journey with God, is always a highlight of like that person really knows Jesus.
mhm.
Like when things are free, when there's like money, sometimes I get it, but like certainly I'm like, oh,
I like free.
Well, I think we should we're gonna change gears a little bit here. We've
Yeah,
got
whatever you
we
want.
like to lighten it up a little bit with some other things. We have a game called This or That
Oh, okay.
that we generally play with a lot of our guests.
Hmm.
Just a lot of these questions are more so like Greg versus Tim. So when you pick one, just remember you're picking Greg or Tim.
You get 2 options, and you have to pick one. You
Okay.
can go and elaborate on anything you want, or you can just leave it. But the key is when you pick one, the other does not exist, which doesn't make sense to me completely, but apparently that's his rule.
Okay.
So we're going to start. You'll get the gist of it in a second. Early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings.
Okay, late nights don't exist anymore. You got the next one.
So coffee or no coffee?
This is my issue right now.
I
I'm on and off.
know what your answer is for right now, but
It's no coffee. If it couldn't exist, that'd be great.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
huh?
I'm having issues with coffee. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough. Would you, and I think you've answered this and you answered it correctly, but climb a mountain or lay on a beach?
Climb a mountain.
Yeah. And that's
Mhm.
correct.
Mm.
I
Well-
actually dislike laying on a beach.
Yeah,
I dislike it. I like playing volleyball on the beach, and that's
Yeah.
it. And
I
yeah.
dislike anything with sand myself, but I do like laying on an infinity pool deck
No,
where I can just
don't. I don't.
enjoy
no.
nature,
I like
the
moving around.
silence and the quiet.
By the way, from before, can you run 10 miles right now?
Probably. I
Okay.
would get
Probably.
destroyed.
Tomorrow
but
morning.
I probably could. Yeah.
I'm in anytime.
You and Tim tomorrow morning.
You run? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
got that.
Actually, no,
beard
I
with
couldn't.
the ice-
My knees having issues. No, I couldn't.
Oh, now he
no,
can't.
No,
Oh,
no, no. I'm
okay.
being honest. Thinking about it.
I was going to, but then I just
Cardiovascularly,
can't.
I think I could. It'd be very challenging, but yeah, the caffeine is actually pulling. I can feel it pulling minerals out of my jaw. I'm having joint issues since I've been drinking
Mhm.
so much coffee lately. Mm-hmm.
Planning it or winging it?
Winging it.
Okay.
God's plan.
So we're going for wings on Sunday? No, just kidding. That's a different wing. Anyway, city energy or quiet retreat? I think we know the answer to
We know
that
the
one.
answer to that one. But let's go to the next.
Yeah.
Quiet retreat. That's
Yeah.
what you didn't
When
pick
you
up on.
do have, when you do choose a phone, iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Right. Okay.
Okay, we're just all or nothing. It's like we're not going to be part of the system, or we're going to be like the demon part of the system.
I don't like it.
It's
Yeah, no,
funny.
yeah.
Just
'cause I'm
join the
used to
enemy
it.
after not doing anything. The evil empire is next, or nothing.
I agree with him.
Yeah, this one I know
You don't
too.
have to agree with him.
I do. He's got a
when
good
I'm right,
point.
he
Yeah.
does have to agree with me. Showers or baths?
Showers.
Why? What's wrong with that?
I'd have to shower first and then get in a bath. I don't want to sit in my filth in the water.
Okay.
Yeah, in the
Yeah, that's
small
his
tub.
opinion.
Yeah,
So
You
yeah.
share that.
if you could guess between the two of us who takes baths,
I don't
which
want
one?
to guess.
He doesn't want to. He doesn't want. Don't make him guess. Don't make him uncomfortable. I like to sit in my filth.
He does. He loves
Surrounded
his
by
filth.
my filth, wade in my filth, splash in my filth.
That's what you do.
Okay.
I only take showers. I never take baths.
I do ice plunges. Like,
Oh, yeah, ice
bath.
plunges I do.
Yeah,
That's not a
yeah,
bath
yeah.
though. That's
I have enjoyed baths
That's
when
an
I was doing
awakening.
the Epsom salt before, but yeah, I would shower first though.
Yeah.
Get all the filth up. Yep.
so start showering, Tim.
Okay.
Is it my turn?
I think it's your turn.
Deep conversations or dumb laughs?
Deep conversations.
Okay, well, I guess you can't hang out with us then.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just
or
not.
one-
I'm not very funny, so
yeah, or one of us. Structure or spontaneity? Kind of a similar question than before.
spontaneous.
See, winging it and spontaneous, I guess that would go
It's
together.
kind of similar. Yeah.
Mm.
Old hymns or new worship?
New worship. I like both, but
Well, journaling in a physical journal, if people don't know what that is, with a pen and a pencil, maybe, or voice memo.
journaling.
Crowd noise or total quiet?
Total quiet.
And this is an interesting one: legacy or impact.
Impact.
This one's kind of a fun one, and we'll see how you answer, and then Tim will judge you after that. Superhero power, ability to fly, or invisibility?
Fly.
You are the second guest to agree with Greg. Everybody else
No,
has.
he said fly.
Oh, fly. That's right. That's right. Invisibility. He likes to have peep shows.
It's like,
no!
just not doing any. What do I want to
So,
do? What do I wanna
so
do?
why would you pick fly?
Flying? It'd be fun to start. We'd be able to fly around, and then I could just be like travel around and help wherever I need to very quickly.
Yeah.
I'm assuming if I fly, it's fast. I'm making that assumption.
Well, what if we just say you fly like a
float
goose?
like a goose? Yeah,
Yeah,
I think still
Fly like a goose.
yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
I pick invisible because I could fly. I could get on an airplane because I'm invisible. I could do things because I'm invisible.
free. He likes
We're
the
free.
free.
Well, that's
But
what
you
Well, I
also
think-
like free, you
When
said.
I think about being invisible, I think just setting. It's like cut
You
off
think
the
of
cut
the-
off the hand that's going to cause you to sin, right? Like I feel like it would just set me up to get in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could, that's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you want to,
Like
if you want
what-
to be invisible,
Well,
it's
yeah.
sin.
What good?
What are you saying here, Tim? Oh,
You're
my
sinning.
I got the Uncle Larry laugh coming out here. That's good.
If you could go out to dinner with any person, historically, living now, dead, alive, pick one character and have a 1 hour conversation over dinner
Hmm.
and ask him anything you want.
Hmm.
Who would that person be?
Jesus.
And now there is a rule on the show that you cannot pick Jesus
Figured,
because a
yeah.
lot of people pick Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus is always with you, so you can always,
Always
talk to
have a
him.
conversation
Mhm.
over
so
dinner.
now you have to pick somebody else.
Let's say Billy Graham.
Okay.
That's a good answer.
Probably a lot of history and insight that you would get out of that one.
Yeah.
He was an
Mhm.
interesting person because he bridged the
Mhm.
Christian faith
Yeah.
with people and where they were as far as
I just saw, a picture from his museum last night in one of the Bible studies we were doing where he was preaching to 1.1 million Koreans in
Yeah.
Korea. Like,
and he was on the and he was also like on the Johnny Carson show, which blows my
I
mind.
don't know what that is.
So the Johnny Carson show was what
The Jay Leno show.
the biggest night
Like
show
secular?
of all time.
Oh, okay.
Late
So
night
if
show.
it's a late night show, he was the
It was the Tonight Show
grandfather
with
of
Johnny
all
Carson.
night
Okay.
shows
Right,
ever.
right,
Johnny
right.
Carson was the biggest name,
Yeah.
and at that point, if you could get on the show, that would be
Actually, no, I
The
changed my
only
answer. John the Baptist.
Johnny
it's-
Carson gave him that one.
Yeah, it's funny you say John the Baptist, because when what you're doing now,
Yeah, I know.
how you physically look, there's some parallels.
Yeah, I know.
You've
to
seen
John
John
the
the
Baptist.
Baptist?
And what's
in person?
interesting, actually, the Lord keeps highlighting Matthew 3:3 for me lately.
Okay.
Which is, they came out in the shout from the wilderness, right? Prepare the way for the Lord. I don't know exactly well, I know what he's telling me to some degree.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Really is.
And this is our last question of the show. This is either the hardest one or the easiest one for our guests. But what is one piece of advice that you would give Shaun Zimmer in 2019?
Let go of your pride. Really let go of your pride. Like, look deep inside and figure out that's not who you are. Your validation doesn't come from all these other places. You are loved. There's a force inside. God loves you, and all of this is not you. And you need to let go of it to actually find the life that is waiting for you. That's just there for you to grab.
It's fantastic.
Awesome. That's a great
Yeah.
answer.
Great elaboration.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Shaun, we appreciate you joining us
I
because
appreciate you having me.
this is it's been a great conversation. And I know that, some of the things you open up about, and you're not on social media as much as you used to be, but it is good to just see this progression. We get to see it firsthand when we see you in church spreading. The seas. What's it called?
Yeah.
Parting.
I
the
just think about
seas.
when Moses had to lift his
The
hands
dance
up. I
move,
just
the parting the
literally the
seas,
whole
yeah.
time you'll see it. And,
Man,
and
I
my
get-
shoulders start
You're
killing
doing
me.
the Moses, and I appreciate that.
I do get tired watching sometimes, but
Yeah.
we really appreciate you coming on the
Me
on the
too.
show
I needed the
here.
laughs. This was good. I
And-
don't laugh enough, so thank you. Yeah.
And Tim, do you want to close it out?
Yeah, again, thanks for coming on the show. Really, it has been great getting to know you, and we wish you all the best going forward. And then we'd love to have you again at some point. So
Yeah, right on.
thanks
Yeah,
again
we'd
for
love to keep
for
on
being in
going.
the studio.
Thanks,
Yep.
guys. Yeah.
Thanks for watching the Greg and Tim show. Don't forget,
Subscribe, share, comment, all those things. And
if you didn't see this episode at 7:30 in the morning on a Monday, it's because you were late.
it's because you were stuck in traffic and you were late. Yeah,
And Tim
but you can
knows
get
what it's like.
actually you can be stuck in traffic and still get the podcast.
And you can listen.
because it's in the portable device, which is your phone.
Yes.
You check it. So why not subscribe to the Greg and Tim show? right?
Exactly.
Weekly.
Subscribe, share,
episodes.
comment, all those fun things, because when you comment, it helps us learn more about what we're talking about, and it also helps us learn more about what you think about the show.
Mhm.
So we appreciate that.
And sharing is
And,
caring. Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring, as Tim always says. Thanks again, Shaun, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks for watching the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. Sharing is caring.